Good day, everyone. Kobina back here with you once again. As always, please hit the subscribe button if you like this content. I'll have more content coming up regularly. But today we're discussing whether or not you should buy Tesla stock, and if not, what you should do instead. So let me start by discussing the electric vehicle space globally and what the prospects are for it as a whole. I'm a firm believer that the EV space will grow significantly over the next number of years for many reasons, but I'm going to discuss three of the biggest reasons with you here today. And again, discuss what you should do in light of that information. The first, and I believe the most important reason, is that governments around the world are finally getting serious about developing the infrastructure needed to support electric vehicles. Historically, the electric vehicle industry has faced a chicken and egg problem. In much of the world, people weren't buying electric cars or haven't been buying electric cars because the infrastructure or charging stations don't exist for owning electric cars to be a practical, viable option. But on the flip side, private companies haven't been investing in the development of charging stations because there simply aren't enough cars for it to make business sense for them. But that's set to change as governments in both the developed and developing world get more serious about supporting the development of cleaner, cheaper transport in light of the climate crisis. For the United States, China, and European Union, global consulting firm McKinsey estimates that the number of charging stations will grow fourfold between 2020 and 2025 and eightfold between 2020 and 2030. The expansion of that charging network will greatly unlock the inhibitor that is not having sufficient charging stations. Looking at the developing world, in India, there are currently only about 250 public charging stations. However, the Indian government aims to set up 2,636 charging stations by 2023, so growing more than tenfold over the next few years. Obviously, 2,600 charging stations isn't significant in a country with 1 billion people, but it gives you a directional sense of where the world is heading relating to investments in electric vehicle infrastructure and investments in the electric vehicle ecosystem. The second driver of growth for the electric vehicle space is the adoption by rideshare companies. As Uber and Lyft fight to find a path towards profitability, they're working on initiatives to improve the profitability of their drivers so that they can take higher commissions per ride. To do this, they're negotiating wide-scale deals throughout the world to avail vehicles to their drivers that have lower financing costs, lower maintenance costs, and lower fuel costs. They call this vehicle solutions. And as someone who worked in vehicle solutions with a major global ride-sharing company myself, I've engaged personally in many of these conversations and negotiations with electric vehicle manufacturers. And I've been privy to negotiations and deals being done between major ride-sharing companies in Europe and in Asia as well. So this is a huge initiative, take it from me. The scale of these deals, combined with the global growth of ride-sharing, will boost the valuations of many players in the ride-sharing space. The third major factor that will drive growth in the EV space is recent development in the batteries used by electric vehicles. So Tesla announced a couple of months ago that they now have a battery which gets 400 miles to the charge. And a Spanish firm called Grabat announced recently that they've developed a battery that gets 500 miles to the charge, which is a lot more than I get on my car. Again, this development removes a major impediment that has held back the growth of electric vehicles and has kept it from reaching its potential by simply making it a viable purchase for end buyers at a large scale. So now that I've told you all of this information, what do? Do you buy Tesla stock or no? And again, I don't have the ability to tell the future, but I'm going to answer that question by emphatically saying no. I don't want you to be at the mercy of Elon Musk's Twitter fingers, because any temperamental tweet he puts out can increase or decrease the value of Tesla by tens or hundreds of millions of dollars in minutes, and I don't want you to jeopardize your life savings. You're welcome. So this is what I'd suggest you invest in instead. So Crane shares electric vehicles and future mobility ETF or exchange traded fund tracks electric vehicle manufacturers, not just in North America, but also in China and in Europe. It tracks other members of the electric vehicle supply chain, such as battery producers, charger manufacturers, etc. So this greatly hedges the risk of placing all your bets on Tesla. If holistically the EV space is successful, you're successful as an investor. And it costs you less than $29 to buy a share of Crane Shares Electric Vehicles and Future Mobility Index, or CARS as its New York Stock Exchange symbol is, KARS. And the price of the stock has risen from about $16 in March to about $29 today. So that's an increase of about 81% over the past 5 or 6 months. And to reiterate, because it tracks companies all over the world and all across the value chain of the electric vehicle space, you win if the electric vehicle space wins. And you don't have to put your savings in jeopardy because Elon Musk smoked a little weed one day and decided to get on Twitter and type something crazy. To reiterate, I don't know the future. I wish I did. I'm simply someone who does his research and pays attention. And I hope you find this video helpful. Once again, please hit the subscribe button and I'll have more great content coming your way. Thank you very much. Take care.